today. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Leah, and this is
Lou, but I prefer calling you Lele, and you call me
we're going into
Lulu.
nicknames.
Could we?
Oh, now we're about to go into friendship. Yes. Can I call you Lulu then?
Please.
Okay. All right. Well, you all may be seated. We're here to share a little bit today on friendship and how God has blessed us with the gift of Heather in our lives, and how important our support system is in this season. And so, what I'll share is brief, but I don't know. Well, some of you might think it's brief.
Let's dive in.
So I'll just share a little bit about Heather and I and how we met. What's been awesome is Heather has trusted God with who God has sent her in certain seasons of her life, beyond the testimony that she'll share with you today. And there's so much, like I said, to be, revered about friendship and having some special ones close to us. So a few years ago, and I've only known Heather probably now for less than 5 years, but a few years ago I met her on Facebook. And so some people may value social media or may devalue social media and the connections that they make. But when we met, what was interesting, we met through a friend who bought a rocking chair for her new nursery out of one of Heather's businesses. And at that time she had a little boutique style furniture shop, and you can look at her and know that she makes all things beautiful. Hello. So she had this, if you can make a rocking chair gorgeous, the girl tagged the boutique or whatever in the post. And I said, okay, I'll click into that and let me see this boutique. And so I, at that point, did a little study and research, and then it led me to Heather. And so I messaged her. I never send friend requests without a message when you're a stranger, because I think that's weird. So I'm sharing that with you all because we need to be better polished in our communication these days. But I sent her a message. I was joined with, my friend request that day, and I just remember telling her I just felt like we had a lot in common. So she trusted that moment and invited me out to one of her next events, and we met, and in brief conversation decided that it was going to be a longer-term friendship, and we were grateful, and we have been. So when she asked me to come help introduce her with our dear friend Lulu this morning, she said, you always know what the right thing to say is. And I said, well, we'll see. But yes, I believe God always gives us the right words to say. And so what I asked God for in this moment, as Heather is launching into a season of helping other women like you and I to speak up about our stories, is that I feel like in this whole season God is stirring his women, and we are his daughters, and we are who he says we are, just as we just sang. And that's very special because God calls us in his word his masterpiece. So I started asking God this morning. I said, well, Lord, give me exactly what you want me to tell the people and Heather about who she is today to me, and maybe for this season, honestly, that we're launching into, right, Lulu. And he gave me just two things to be easy. One was, well, you can continue the conversation you all had in the car on your road trip last month, just like friends, right, to leave off or to pick up right where you last left off in conversation. But he also gave me this unction to go get on my computer and to Google the meaning of her name. And because my name is Leah, which is a biblical name, and I was raised in church, but I realized not everyone has biblical names yet. There's so many names, and all of our names have a meaning. So maybe that's one cue for you all to research what your names are. But anyway, as I was researching Heather and then the name Marie, God led me just on this beautiful journey in some scriptures and some things that are on Heather's life that have everything to do with the meaning of her name and the things that he's called her to, that when I tell you this story, you all are going to be like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? And I want you to maybe take this research that I just did this morning and take it into your own life, because you probably be so blessed by God to show you some things about your own name. Anyway, the name meaning of Heather, I was expecting something really elaborate, And the word is just, it's English. Well, she grew up in England.
Right.
So she'll be telling us a little bit more about her story, so I'll let her go into that. But some of the things about how she does make things beautiful in almost every way. She loves to garden too. I learned that about our friendship. So Heather is actually the name of a flower that comes in pink and white colors and is usually attached with small shrubs. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then in the commentary it said, white flowers that commonly grow in rocky areas. And I thought, well, isn't that a description of her life? Rocky areas. She's going to talk a little bit about some rocky areas in her life. And it also gave some keywords that also are so Heather. Categories of the word Heather were flora, flowers, nature, pink, plants, trendy, and white. How about that?
All those things.
These
Oh,
are all
that is so
Heather.
Heather. Not even funny. Oh my gosh.
Well, so part of our conversation in our road trip last month was, because we literally were in a car for 5 hours driving together to Pennsylvania.
Nothing to bring some sisters together better than a long road trip.
A long road trip, yeah. And as we were talking on that road trip, I remembered us sharing that you were able to relate to a woman in the Bible in her story of who God makes her in the Bible in the season of your life.
I think
And
that's
share a little bit
important.
about that, because I'm getting ready to really reveal Heather's person.
That's why it's such a beautiful thing. And number one, I love that you have the gifting of giving a word to someone and prophesying for someone and saying, God just put on my heart to tell you this. That is an incredible gift that you have. Exactly right. And so my person in the Bible is Lydia, and it was given to me not too long ago by someone speaking it into me. So it's really important if you feel like God tells you, speak something into her. Make sure you follow up and do it. Even if it's the first time you're going to do it and you feel like you're going to feel silly, because it can change the course of a person's life. And so for me, it was Lydia was the person in the Bible that once somebody, I didn't even know who she was. And it turned out, much like you're describing Heather, it described me to a T and explained so many things in my life that were unexplainable and things that I would get frustrated about. Oh, it's my gifting, my calling, because it's just like this woman in the Bible.
And that's the part I think about the beauty of God's word, is it actually, that's where you find out God's word is living and can be true for you. So then I go to research the word Marie, which I was bummed at what Google showed me. So Heather, if you try it, you'll just be like, oh, garbage. I mean, because I was expecting something, right? So anytime we go to research, we're expecting something. As I researched the word Marie, I found out that it was French. But as I continued to look through a lot of the commentary, it listed like names of different people, that had the name Marie or carried the name Marie. And it was mainly relative to queens and royalty. It was European. But then in the small print, like down at the bottom of my screen, it read that Marie in Hebrew is Miriam. So that's your person. When I share this with you this morning, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, God is so good. Seriously, I didn't plan this. I promise you. I just said, Lord, show me what to tell about Heather today. So in the season of Heather's life that she's in right now, she's just launching into ministry, you all. And so you all are at the very first of her events. And when I asked God about the name Marie, and he shows me Miriam, now listen to this, because this part is really cool, because this is what, not only do we see this on Heather's life, for those of us that know her, whether know her on Facebook or in church or whatever walk, or like Felicia, who knows me, who just met Heather through my Facebook, which I'm so glad you came with. So here we go. So Miriam, this is just too cool. Miriam was Moses' big sister. And so this is another reason why you don't I don't think we heard a lot about Miriam. Like when I think about all the years that I've been in church and heard sermons, I just never heard a ton about Miriam's life. So it was just fascinating to me this morning. So I'm going to go through a few of these parts of her life. So Miriam was the big sister of Moses. And how many of you had an older sibling? A lot of people? Okay, and they watched over you, the older sibling. Heather, where do you fit in the siblings of your work?
Middle child.
You're the middle. Okay. But you had someone that was younger that you probably watched over a little bit too. So we can all relate to that one way or another. Well, she was the big sister to Moses, but Aaron, who was another powerful leader in the Bible, was their brother. So here were siblings, Miriam, Moses, and Aaron. And she was, basically Miriam was a prophet. And she first appeared in the book of Exodus. And the things that Miriam and Moses did together as a family, they led by example. They served their people rather than ruling them. And they did what they believed that God wanted in every circumstance rather than serving their own ends or circumstances. And so there was personal sacrifice in that, which I thought was powerful. And I'll just read you a little bit more. This was more cool about Miriam. Exodus 15, and Heather, I can send you my notes if you want them, so I don't expect you to have to memorize this, but Exodus 15, verse 20 to 21. Then the prophet Miriam, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and with dancing. And Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and rider he has thrown to the sea." So I can tell you what, she's going to tell us about what she's thrown out to the sea.
Yes.
And what God has thrown out for her. So anyway, that might be a fun scripture for you to get into in the season ahead. But she had a ritual of singing by women, and that was common, by the way, in ancient Israel. And I would say for Heather Marie today, and even throughout her life, she's always had the gift of song on her life. And she's had a song for every morning, every season of her life, and every day. And because God's blessed me with the friendship of her and Lulu too, she'll message us sometimes songs to say, "All right, girls, boom, here's the one, for the week or whatever." She didn't say all that, but she was trickling right in your inbox, and you get to be blessed by it. Women in that time was sang particularly at victory celebrations, and when they were going out to meet returning warriors and greeting them with songs that expressed their relief, their joy, and their jubilee at the defeat of their enemy or their oppressors. Isn't that awesome? Heather, are you resonating there? Miriam also means prophetess or lady. And as she was the revered sister of Moses, she led the victory song also after the parting of the Red Sea. How cool would that have been to be her in that time? I mean, wow. And she was also the acknowledged leader of all of the women who actually fled from Egypt with their families. So she's the one who led all the women out of Egypt. Okay? Boom. Mic drop. And the main themes of Miriam's story were these two things, and I know that this is also going to come forth in some of Heather's message today, but this was so powerful, and this also explains why Heather's always been drawn to water. But the water was a symbol of her life, and it was important in Miriam's story because she saved baby Moses from the waters of the Nile when he was an infant. Apparently, when there was a flood and she was his big sister, she rescued him in a basket and set him aside so that his life would be saved. So, and then she also led the victory song, of course, after the parting of the Red Sea. But after the parting of the Red Sea, God also gave abundant water to the people. And it was in the form of a spring. And it was also after she ended up dying that all this came out. So I just think it's awesome in her life that I feel like she's entering a season where she's died to self and is completely, coming forward to help speak up and bring us into this message today of no longer silent. The second main theme of Miriam's story was in Exodus. And one thing that I didn't think about Exodus being, besides just the name of the book and the chapter of the Bible, was that it's actually a thing, and it has themes to it. An exodus of your life is kind of what this is referencing. But basically, she and Hebrew women were an essential part of the Exodus in the Bible, which was the great founding event by the Jewish people. And the three themes that it had were that it had an eternal covenant between God and his people. So the Exodus was a reminder of that. So I know she's going to be reminding us all of the covenant of God in our life this morning. Also, it was a journey that involved exile, where there was a wandering and then the process of returning to a promised land. So I don't know if any of you can relate to feeling like you've had seasons of wandering in your life and how you've returned to the promised land. But yes, Heather will be reminding us, I'm sure, of this part of an Exodus. And also the responsibility to fight for injustice, because we know that God wants to free his people, right, and set captives free. And so really the call forth for Heather Marie in this hour, I sense, is that, and for you all too, that there are areas of our life that are held captive, that we're either wandering in or we're in the process of returning to. And Heather Marie's life is not only a summary of all of Miriam's life here in this, as I learned about this morning and could share with you all today, but it kind of summarizes her love for gardening, her testimony, that brought a peace to her, that brings peace to her. Actually, that's one of the things she does in her daily life that really help keep her calm. She really enjoys that. But also in her life, she loves to not only see the blooms of the gardening, but helping others to bloom. And also in song, as the gift of her life. And her life has been one of service and leadership. She's always had courage and ingenuity in dangerous situations. So she'll share some of her testimony today of dangerous situations, I'm sure. She's always had a loyalty to her family and her children. And now she has a wonderful husband, hey Tony, in the back, who's here to support and love her, and a love of music, storytelling, and dance. And the part about Miriam's life that I thought was interesting, that I know Heather does more in private in her prayer time with God, that it's not something I'm aware of all the time, because she doesn't tell me everything. We don't always talk to one another, as you all have good friendships too. I know that you don't share everything with your friends, lots of private conversations with God, but I know that she intellectually will question him about authority figures and social responsibility and how she's to tend to the matters that she sees needs of. And that she is also a role model for men and women today. Wouldn't you agree, Lulu?
Definitely. I just, on a very personal level, my friendship and relationship with Heather and getting to know her is so unbelievably special to me, because I met her at a time when she was on top, got every dream of everything that she ever imagined, and everything that she wanted to acquire in the world, she got. And when I met her, she was at that top thing, and there were a lot of people surrounding her that were a little bit outside the fray. And when I came in and I met her, I just really felt a very special reason that we had met and had gotten close, because I knew it was going to be much more than just kind of a business level friendship like so many people that were there at that event. It's been a beautiful thing. What I love about Heather is how beautiful she is and how classy she is. And she has helped me in my personal life become a little bit more classy, right? And in reverse, me and my style, I've tried to kind of bring a little bit of sass into her life. And I'm just so proud of you, because you have become such a wonderful balance of beautiful on the outside and what everybody sees on the outside, and having it just as much on the inside, and sharing that with friends and people that get close to you. So I just love you and appreciate you, and I feel so honored to be able to be here at your first event to get everything launched. So.
And to introduce you.
Yeah.
So Lele and Lulu formally would like to introduce Heather Marie to speak to you today. Come on up.